Everybody, good evening and welcome to the Spirit of Manchester Awards 2020. I can't hear you. Hang on a minute. Let's try. It's going to be really difficult, this, isn't it? Listening and not being able to hear each other. So that's what we're missing. Bit of noise. Bit of audience applause. So I'm Mike Wild. I'm the Chief Exec of MAC. And MAC is a charity and our purpose is simply Manchester. My job is to make more good things happen in this wonderful city. Normally, I would be welcoming you to our 8th annual Spirit of Manchester Awards. And we'd be all together in a huge room with lots of cheering and clapping. And I'd be talking about how it's a party and to enjoy yourself. And it's going to be a bit hard to recreate that kind of atmosphere online, but it's going to be hard to feel like we're all together, but we are. We're still connected. We're still connected by watching this, by chatting on YouTube and on Twitter and all the things that are going on. I can't see you, unfortunately, which I'm really, really missing, seeing everybody tonight. But you can join in and I'll tell you a bit more about that in a bit. If you've ever been to one of the awards in the past few years, you you might remember I often say, this is a party. It's not a black tie dinner. Well, this year's been different in lots of ways, so I thought, why not? I'll dress up a bit for the occasion. So there you go, my one and only Spirit of Manchester Awards in the proper gear. I thought I may as well get use out of this, but I'm sure this has shrunk since lockdown started. So for anyone who doesn't know MAC, it's our role and our honour to support and encourage and celebrate the good and useful and amazing work of local voluntary community and social enterprise organisations and faith groups in the city of Manchester. There's over 3,500 in this city alone. And we help set up new groups, we help develop existing organisations, we help them find funding and resources and encourage, cajole, challenge the whole sector to do what they do brilliantly and then do it better and do even more of it. That's our job. We help local people be active in the city as residents in their communities through our volunteer centre. And we work with a huge range of organisations like the council, the NHS, local businesses to influence on important things like health and social care, raising an awareness around mental health, homelessness, tackling hate crime, providing welfare advice, groups that support people, help people develop new skills and find work. And then, of course, 2020 comes along. And everything changes. Except in many ways, it hasn't really changed, fundamentally, I mean. For all those thousands of volunteers and community groups and charities and faith organisations, and for us at MAC, I don't think it has fundamentally changed because this is the year when the chips were down. This is the year when we had to learn new things at lightning speed to adapt and change what we do, change how we do things and how we support the people that we have always been there for. All of us, every single one of us, rolled up our sleeves and got stuck in, because that fundamentally is what we do. It's what we've always done. The circumstances have changed, the way we do things may have changed, but fundamentally, we're still here. We're still out there supporting communities. And boy, what a story it's been this year. So I've just got a slight tech issue here. So there we go. For everyone at MAC, Spirit of Manchester Awards is the highlight of our year. It's a joy for all of us to throw a massive party, and I know we can't quite do that this evening, but it's the night when we invite you to join us, not just to applaud and celebrate, but to stand up and say what matters to us, to focus on the compassion and kindness in our communities, and to say what we can see and how it should change and what we're doing about it. It's more important than ever this year because two things have become so much more visible in the last few months. The first is the vast and growing inequalities in our society, the exclusion of people because of race or disability or class. We've seen the impact COVID has had because of those structural issues that we have not tackled as a society. And the other thing that is more visible than ever is the awe-inspiring power of communities and community organisations up and down this city and this country who are determined to do something about that and make sure that nobody is left behind. That's how we responded in this crisis. So what we wanted to do was make sure we still had an opportunity to celebrate, had a bit of a party, made a lot of noise about all that work, but in a slightly different way than we would normally do it. And above all, we wanted this evening to be about saying thank you. Thank you to everybody who's been part of that effort, and to share the stories of everything that's happening in our communities around the response to COVID. Now, coming on the back of this week's news about lockdown in Manchester, moving into tier 3, you might be feeling like now is really not the time to be celebrating. Now is absolutely the time to celebrate and give thanks, because there is hope and inspiration in the stories you're going to hear tonight. And after this week's news, I'm sure many of us could do with a bit more hope and inspiration right now. So a lot of us are feeling tired, feeling weary. I've heard so many people in the last few months talk about, I've worked harder than I've ever worked before. I've done more stuff than I ever thought. And it's been going on and on and on. And this week's news just feels like another hurdle we've got to get past. Recognize what you've achieved. Tonight is an opportunity to do that. Celebrate the support that you've given, the work that you've put in, all the effort that we've put through together, because that's how we will get through it in the future. I've said this so many times in the last few months. You've heard it before. I'll say it again for those of you who haven't. It's not a sprint, but it's not a marathon either. It's a relay race. We get through this by helping each other out and all of us playing a part. And because of the nature of the pandemic, COVID, along the way, many of us will have lost people that we care about through this situation. That's why there's a candle burning behind me here. That's for remembrance, because we know that that's part of the story tonight. But we're going to focus on saying thank you. During the evening, we're going to share stories that we've gathered of the ways communities have responded. And we have a lot of thank you messages to share. So to get this celebration officially underway, with our first thank you message, I am going to introduce you to my magic disco ball, which is my cue to colleagues to start the video going with a thank you message from the Lord Mayor of Manchester, Councillor Abid Chauhan.
Hello everyone. As Lord Mayor of Manchester, I am delighted and honoured to be speaking to you at this year's Spirit of Manchester Awards ceremony. 2020 continues to be a very challenging and difficult time for many of us. However, it also seems right and fitting that we should use this opportunity to recognize and celebrate some incredible activities in our great city. COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on and continue to have on the city and its residents. I have spoken to a number of volunteers, community and social enterprises during the pandemic and am fully aware of critical role they are providing in the response to this pandemic. Manchester's VCSE organizations have responded amazingly to the crisis. They continue to work tirelessly to ensure that Manchester's communities and residents have access to much needed support and services, including food provision, care, shelter, well-being and mental health support. Many have worked alongside and in partnership with our public services to ensure that they have not been totally overwhelmed and to increase the provision of essential support. On behalf of the City of Manchester, I would like to thank every single organization for their past, current and future efforts. They are a vital part of Manchester's response to the crisis and also to its recovery. The Spirit of Manchester Awards are an established and high-profile celebration of the incredible work, commitment and achievements of the organizations and individuals who tirelessly work for the benefit of Manchester and its diverse communities. I wish to personally thank and congratulate every person and organizations that has been nominated for the one of this year's Spirit of Manchester Awards. I am proud to be associated with the Spirit of Manchester Awards, and I wish you all success for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lord Manchester, for taking the time to Lord Mayor of Manchester for taking the time to send us that message. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask for your help. Those of you who've been to Spirit of Manchester before will know that one of the things we normally do is do a bit of fundraising as we go along. So this is to give out as grants to local community groups. So yes, I am going to ask you for some money and to encourage other people to give some money, but only so that we can give it away. It's not fundraising for MAC. From last year's event, we managed to raise about £4,000 on the night to give out to local groups. But because the circumstances this year are so very different, we've made a short film to explain what our ask is. So here comes the glitterboard.
Manchester's charities, voluntary organisations, community groups and social enterprises have played an amazing part in the response to COVID-19. They've supported people staying well, staying connected, getting food, feeling safe and finding help. A lot of this has been possible because of the huge number of emergency funds which sprang up in the UK in the early days of the crisis. Locally, there was a lot of support available, lots of offers of help and assistance. Those have been fantastic. We know from speaking to lots of our organisations what a difference that made. Many of the stories we've heard for our Spirit of Manchester celebration have been made possible because of this. But winter 2020 is going to be harder than ever. Those emergency funds have mostly gone and we don't know what's happening next. While many local charities have worked hard over the years to find creative ways to build a sustainable income, much of that activity has had to stop, as well as much of the traditional fundraising activities which so many organisations rely on. The impact on these important community organisations has been huge this year, and it's not going to get any easier for the foreseeable future. Major funders are still looking at their future plans, but we can't wait. Until now, MAC has not launched an appeal for the charities, community groups and voluntary organisations in Manchester. We focused on helping those organisations access the funds which were available. But now we need your help. Manchester's charities want to be able to provide support over this difficult winter, and to do that, they need money. New costs such as PPE, adaptations to workplaces, transport, supplies, technology, all of these are pressures on the hundreds of local organisations which make such an impact in our neighbourhoods. So we want to ask for your help. We know that right now not everyone can, but whatever you can do, whatever you can give, will make a difference because it all adds up. That's something you'll see in all our work, in all the stories that we share. The impact we all create when we add all of that effort together. All of the money we raise will go into MAC's Spirit of Manchester Fund for local groups and charities to continue to provide vital support as part of the COVID-19 response. If you want to show your gratitude to local groups, giving to the grants programme is a great way to put something back into our communities. If you simply want to be part of the effort to make sure all our communities get through this crisis with nobody left behind, by donating, you're helping a community group support local people. That could be to provide companionship for an older person to prevent them from feeling isolated, to help deliver food parcels to even more families through local food banks, to run an online support group for young people who've experienced bereavement, to provide counselling for women who've survived domestic abuse during lockdown, to cover volunteer expenses for community projects, to provide employment support for local people with long-term health conditions who've lost their job, to provide advice and wellbeing workshops for new carers. Here's how you can help. To donate by text Spirit of MCR, all one word, to 70450 to give £5. You can top that up by giving us your details to allow us to claim gift aid from the Treasury. That adds an extra 25% at no cost to you. Alternatively, you can text any whole pound amount between £1 and £20 by texting Spirit of MCR 20, for example, to donate £20. Text costs the value of the donation plus one standard rate message. To donate online, please go to our fundraising page on Local Giving. There's a link below. MAC will not take 1 penny of the money you donate. It will all go into our Spirit of Manchester Fund to be given as grants to local charities and community organisations. the ones in our neighbourhoods, our communities, the ones which make a difference to the lives of the people in this city. Whatever you can give, it all adds up. Whatever you can give, you'll be part of the biggest act of organised kindness in the history of Manchester. Thank you.
Thank you. I make no apology for asking for money. It's what we need to make stuff happen. But anyway, I can see we've already had some donations in, so really appreciate that, and please do keep donating. I believe we've got about 250 people watching at the moment, so hello everybody. I wish I could see you, and the Twitter and Facebook and social media are already buzzing. So if you've never been to the Spirit of Manchester Awards before, if you can't remember what life used to be like in the days when we did things in the real world rather than online, just a quick reminder of how it normally works. So normally what we do is we send out an invitation to everybody across the city, and they suggest potential nominees in categories that MAC chooses. We devise those categories to highlight things that we think it's important to celebrate about the way charities and communities and voluntary organisations and social enterprises and faith groups work, things we want to encourage. We get around about 200 nominations every year, and we give that to an independent panel of judges who make a shortlist, and then over the summer we help people make little films which we can then show at our big party, which is normally in October, watch the films together, and we vote on the winners. Like everything else, that has had to change this year. Like I said, firstly, we want to celebrate everyone who has been part of the community response to COVID-19. So we want to say a massive thank you. And also, it's been quite difficult to capture films of stuff in these circumstances, not just because of distancing, but also the last thing we want to do is pile more work onto community organisations who are so busy, working flat out. We don't want them to spend time making a film. So what we did instead was we've captured some stories that people have shared with us by text, and these have all just gone live on the Manchester Community Central website. So you'll be able to see the links to those, all the stories in a lot more detail that we're going to have time to cover tonight. And we've also done some little interviews with people online to tell us the story of a person or an organisation that they want to say thank you to. And we're so grateful to everybody who took time out to speak to us and send us a story. We are going to try and name check as many people as possible as we can this evening, and that's where you come in. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see there's a chat stream going on at the side. You can feed in through that, or you can share messages on other social media like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The hashtag we're using is Spirit of MCR 20, Spirit of MCR 20. That's all one word. And some of my eagle-eyed Mac colleagues are monitoring all the social media feeds, and we're going to be trying to gather it together in real time and share it with you as we go along through the evening. So we'll see how that works. There are two things that you can do. One is you can just help us share the stories that you're hearing. So Manchester's been in the media a lot this week. Let's use our voices, all our collective voices, to tell another part of the story of Manchester, the story of our communities. Let's get everybody talking about that side of Manchester. The other thing you can do as part of this is actually tell us who you want to say thank you to. Tell us on the chat, on social media. We want this to be the biggest thank you that Manchester has ever seen. So you can share all that. If you want to say thank you to somebody, say it to them tonight and tell us about it. Copy us in on the hashtag. As we go along, I'm going to be joined by some of my colleagues to gather some feedback. And what I really want you to do is make it as difficult for them as possible to keep up with the amount of stuff that's going on. And I'm getting some evil looks from colleagues at the moment who are on the call. I am always amazed by the sheer wealth and the breathtaking standard of the stories that we hear at these events. I live and breathe this stuff all the time, and even I get blown away by the stories that we hear doing Spirit of Manchester, and never more so than this year. So we're going to get on with our first category, which is People of Manchester. I said before that my job is to make more good stuff happen. And the best bit of doing that is that at MAC, we get to meet all these amazing people in Manchester who are doing fantastic things in communities, often with little or no recognition. And tonight, it's our pleasure to share some of those stories with you. Where else would we start but with the fantastic people of this city? Now, normally, 110,000 people volunteer in Manchester every year, giving their time and their energy and their skills. That's 20% of the local population. At the start of lockdown, we launched through our volunteer centre our COVID-19 community volunteering programme. And over the last few months, that has placed an additional 1,590 volunteers into volunteer roles to help with the response in local community organisations. And that's in addition to other things like the NHS Volunteer Responders Programme. Isn't it amazing that when times got tough, literally thousands of people came forward and said, how do I help? That's what I mean by inspiration. We asked people to tell us who they wanted to say thank you to, volunteers, good neighbours, anybody who stepped up to help others during the COVID-19 crisis, everybody that's been part of organising and delivering the biggest act of kindness in our city's history. And remember, you can join in, tell us who you want to say thank you to. So we'll get our first social media update after this little film, and here comes the magic disco ball.
They've made a difference, firstly, by making sure that people have can access low-cost food, which has been really essential for so many people at this time. But also, they've made sure that people are not isolated, and that they're linked up, and that they know where to go. So through our volunteers, they've first of all known that we're a point of contact, but also made it very approachable, made it very friendly, and made it very easy for people to have a chat with us and get referred and access support services. So they've been essential in that they've provided low-cost food, but they've also provided company and friendly conversation both on the phone and in person, and also really helped a lot of people access essential services. We've really had to kind of constantly change, constantly mould our service like all of the other services, and they've been they've had some really brilliant ideas, because they know their communities best and they know the members best, so they've been really creative and really forward thinking in that way as well.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people were struggling, and I knew I could do more to help. I spent 1,000 on-duty hours with the Good Samaritans app, helping out neighbours in need. I volunteered with the Greater Manchester Combined Authority to put together creative care kits, for which we were awarded a special recognition from the High Sheriff for Greater Manchester. I have been providing free tuition to GCSE students. Once a month, I cook 60 meals for the homeless, as well as donating furnishings to the houses that the Mad Dogs Homeless charity support. I volunteer at the Bread and Butter Thing warehouse to put together food packages for those living in disadvantaged communities. I'm so happy that I've been able to use my spare time making sure others are being fed, educated, and most importantly, feel like they're not alone. As a Miss Manchester 2021 finalist, I've been using my platform to encourage others to volunteer. Manchester is my home, and I am so privileged to give back to such a vibrant, diverse, and friendly community.
I want to say thank you to Olwyn Taylor, who's an active resident who's been helping to keep people active at Debdale Park as a volunteer for many, many years. She's helped to lead loads of great projects focused on bringing people together to have a good time in good company. She's helped navigate Debdale Bowling and Social Club through difficult times so that club members can continue to enjoy having a good time together. She's supported the Manchester Active Ageing sessions at Debdale Outdoor Centre and helped to form an indoor bowling club. She also leads the Debdale Diggers, who are a group of volunteers who not only take care of the rose beds in Debdale Park, but have a great time as a friendly and supportive group. Olwyn's been working hard to support the well-being of people in the community right through the COVID-19 pandemic, through bringing people together so they get out of the house and take part in outdoor activities safely. On top of that, Olwyn's busy getting everything ready to deliver digital inclusion sessions to help people who are not familiar with computers connect with loved ones using video conferencing. Most of all, Olwyn's created opportunities for people in the area to feel like they're part of something positive, helping them to feel proud of where they live.
I think I've got to thank my colleague David Conreed, who has helped supported me, the Cracking Good Food Company, who have provided the meals, the ready-made meals for the veterans since the start of lockdown and continue to do so. But more importantly, Violet, my daughter, she's just every week, rain or shine, she's been out with me delivering the meals, because I'm in a wheelchair, you see, so I would find it difficult to get to some of the houses. So she's coming, she delivers, picks them up, then we deliver them, and it can sometimes be a 3 to 4 hour journey. She sits in the car and delivers them, and she's always very polite to the veterans and is always smiling. And she's recently been poorly as well. Even when she was poorly, she still cracked on, and because she got a thing called Bell's palsy, it affected her smile, and her smile is infectious, but she still managed to, get out there and smile and make the veterans feel happy, really. I asked her, does she want to carry on doing it? And she said no. She's quite funny, really, because she said, well, I've got to wear my mask anyway, so people won't be able to see it. And she still does it now. She's back at school now, and it's Wednesday today, and she'll come straight in from school, put her bag down, straight in the car, out and do it, and without any hesitation.
Hi, I'd like to talk about Ian Barker, my nomination for the Spirit of Manchester Awards. He's one of our most committed sus-trans volunteers, going out on the Fallowfield Loop almost on a daily basis. He runs group tasks in normal times, keeps people informed about what's going on, and reports issues along the loop, and also organises massive events as well, massive cultural events including the Handlebars, which is a big theatre event, and lots of other things too. He also, during the pandemic, has kept people informed about the consultation that's going on, works that have been going on, bridge replacements, putting up signs, and also dealing with an act of vandalism that happened in the Peace Garden. Ian is tireless in what he does. He never stops. He's always cheerful, really interesting, and really interested in us, everybody. And I really want to make sure that he gets nominated and recognised for all the amazing volunteering he does. He's brilliant. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I want to say a huge thank you to Kate Williams and everyone else who's worked alongside her for everything she's done to support the community during the pandemic. She's involved in loads of great organisations, including the Inspired People's Project, Levenshulme Inspire, Levy Corona Helpers, Levenshulme Good Neighbours, All FM, Gorton Visual Arts, and Pets Corner. Right from the start of the crisis, Kate and the team at Levenshulme Inspire have been out there making sure that the essential community support services like Bread and Butter Thing could continue to get supplies to people who needed them. They partnered up with Levy Corona Helpers to make sure vulnerable people have been getting the food they need. They've been sending out regular cooked meals delivered to people's homes. And they've also been helping to make sure people get the shopping and essentials they need. They've also been there for people who need someone to talk to, or need help to be connected to services to help them with support. And more of this has helped to bring people together and remind them that they aren't alone. And, there's a lot of people that care for them, even when there's so many people who are by themselves in their homes. I want to say thank you to Olwyn Taylor, who's an active resident, who's been helping to keep people active at Debdale Park as a volunteer for many, many years. She's helped to lead loads of great projects focused on bringing people together to have a good time in good company. She's helped navigate Debdale Bowling and Social Club through difficult times so that club members can continue to enjoy having a good time together. She's supported the Manchester Active Ageing sessions at Debdale Outdoor Centre and helped to form an indoor bowling club. She also leads the Debdale Diggers, who are a group of volunteers who not only take care of the rose beds in Debdale Park, but have a great time as a friendly and supportive group. Olwyn's been working hard to support the well-being of people in the community right through the COVID-19 pandemic, through bringing people together so they get out of the house and take part in outdoor activities safely. On top of that, Olwyn's busy getting everything ready to deliver digital inclusion sessions to help people who are not familiar with computers connect with loved ones using video conferencing. Most of all, Olwyn's created opportunities for people in the area to feel like they're part of something positive, helping them to feel proud of where they live.
Thank Millie Maltby, who is our Guide Support Officer and Community Engagement Manager at Invisible Manchester. At the very beginning, those early days when everything started going into lockdown and all our training was cancelled, we had an event where we were supposed to go to the Pankhurst Centre, and Millie dressed up as a suffragette and organised a Zoom session with all of our guides. Went above and beyond within her role. She was never asked or expected to do anything like that, and then continued to do something like that every week. It was Spanish lessons with some of our guides, or helping our guides learn how to cook over Zoom, visiting some of the guides in a socially distanced way and dropping food parcels or packages with them. With one of the guides, she started doing a poetry exchange because he's a very keen poet. Two of the trainees both said that the thing they were most grateful for during lockdown was Millie giving them a phone call every Friday, which just put a smile on their face, which is ultimately what we're trying to achieve. So yeah, that's why I'm just very grateful and thankful for her putting her best foot forward during the whole of lockdown, because it was not an easy time and continues not to be an easy time.
Brilliant. Isn't that amazing? Thank you so much, everybody. So I'm going to welcome in my colleague, Helen Walker, who's been watching the social media response. Helen, what have we got? You're on mute, Helen.
It's 7 months and we're still not getting used to that mute button. Thank you very much, Mike. So I just wanted to say it's always a privilege as a member of MAC staff to be involved in an evening like this, and definitely feels like that tonight. So we've been watching all the messages that have come through, so thank you so much for those. So without further ado, I will start reading them out. So thank you to Taslima Ahmed of CDM UK, who's been working with a team of women for months now, making masks for anybody who needs them. Second, thank you to all the people who have volunteered for the Scrubs hubs, making scrubs for frontline workers, and that's from Kerry. Also, we want to thank everybody who has offered to volunteer but hasn't had that offer taken up. We know that there's such a lot of willingness to step forward and help. One of the challenges for the charity sector, and something for us to learn from, was that the capacity to take on so many volunteers in such a short space of time was really difficult. So thanks for everyone that's signed up, and hopefully if you've not volunteered so far, you will be able to volunteer in future. So next thank you is from Michael Salmon, a friend of ours who works for the City Council, saying a massive thank you for all the time, effort, energy, care, passion, commitment and Mancunian spirit that the voluntary sector displays every day. So that's a thank you to all of us. Manchester Parent Carer Forum, massive thank you to parents and carers of children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities. They do so much, not only for their own families, but also for the wider community. Great Minds, thank you to each and every one of you that does such amazing work for the families of Manchester, many of which are on here, who they work closely with. We are so proud and grateful. A shout out from Scott to all the carers in Manchester and the organisations like GADAM that support them. A thanks from Maria to Geraldine from Parents Champion and Jordan from Manchester Parent Forum for all that you do. A thanks from Ralph to Maria. Couldn't do it without the team and all the wonderful special educational needs and disability parents and carers who make time to get involved. I think I'm running out of time. I will just do a couple more. From our colleague Alison at Salford CVS, too many to mention, but would pick out Joe from Mustard Tree, and in fact the whole Mustard Tree team, Lucy from Emerge Manchester, and all the team at Fair Share Greater Manchester for all their frontline support work during the pandemic. And from Val at MHCC, again, a great partner of ours, a big thank you to all the VCSE groups, trustees and volunteers for all the incredible work you do all year round. So I shall hand back now to Mike, and we shall go back to looking at all the messages.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you for all those thank yous. Keep them coming, keep them coming. We're going to try and get through as many of these as we possibly can. And we've also, like I said, got some thank you messages to share. So it's Magic Disco Ball time.
Hello everyone, I'm Eamon O'Neill, High Sheriff of Greater Manchester. And it's part of my role as High Sheriff to make sure I say thank you as often as possible to the individuals, the good causes, the not-for-profit organisations and everyone else who works in the sector that looks after other people. The Spirit of Manchester Awards, the best one of the year, has to be virtual this year, as we know. But as someone who also works in the voluntary sector, I do take my hat off to you. Congratulations to you all, and thank you so very much.
Hello, Anna from MAC here. Just wanted to say a really big thank you to everybody who's working in a voluntary sector group or organisation in Manchester, or you're volunteering for a local charitable cause, or supporting your neighbours or local community. Thanks so much for your time, hard work and commitment. It really does make a massive difference. Thank you.
From Volunteers Centre Manchester, we just wanted to take this time to direct a message to all of the people who responded in huge numbers to our appeals and requests for support.
Over 3,500 of you answered our calls, and you did everything from delivering food, medicine and supplies, being there for people that are struggling or isolated, and spreading messages of kindness and positivity.
Even now, you're still giving your time, your skills, energy, passion and enthusiasm to help people. And so, we just wanted to say,
cheers.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Thank you for those messages, and I particularly want to say thanks to Eamon, the High Sheriff, for sending us that message. A lot of you will be aware he's put a lot of time and effort into encouraging the voluntary sector through his High Sheriff Special Recognition Awards. I know it's meant an awful lot to a lot of people and encouraged them during difficult times, so really well done for that, Eamon. Thank you so much. The next thing we wanted to do was look at the work of mutual aid groups. One of the brilliant things we saw right from the start was people getting together in communities to organise support at a really, really local level, looking out for their neighbours and the people who live nearby. We saw people setting up WhatsApp groups to check in with each other, finding ways to be good neighbours. We loved the fact that we actually had a project running to try and make more of that stuff happen anyway. So we were very, very fortunate that we were able to kind of repurpose that project. It was focused on time banks and connect to these new groups and help them, support them, setting up, operating safely and learning. So we've made a special short video with Tom introducing the story of supporting each other.
After lockdown was announced, a number of groups started forming across Manchester that were organising support and bringing people together in their local area. These groups, some organised online through Facebook, other times organised offline, either with leaflets or via WhatsApp, were varied in their size and structure. However, all of these groups have one thing in common. They were organised quickly in response to the threats of COVID-19 and were organised by and for local people. These groups are often called mutual aid or mutual support groups. Groups like these existed before COVID-19, but the number of these groups that formed post-lockdown is unique. On behalf of MAC, I want to thank everyone involved in mutual aid and mutual support groups in Manchester. These groups organise and continue to organise essential support and connection for people in our city. For example, groups early on in lockdown were organising for shielded residents to have their prescriptions picked up and delivered. Some groups were checking in with all those on their street or in their local area via phone calls or knocking on doors. And other groups were delivering food parcels that were appropriate for people's dietary requirements. Again, thank you to everyone involved with these groups. You were and continue to be an essential part of the community response to COVID-19. Support is available for these groups through MAC and with our partners, please just contact me at thomas@mac.org.uk for more information. I'll put my email on the screen now. Thank you. We also asked Yasmin from the Arwick and Longside Mutual Aid Group a few questions about the group and her involvement.
The Arwick and Longside Mutual Aid Group had a helpline that ran Mondays to Fridays 9 till 3, and what they did with the helpline, people could ring in and they could order food parcels to the house. They'd get asked on the phone, what are the things that you usually would eat, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't sending food items out to families that they didn't know how to cook or they weren't used to eating. In a time of crisis, I know it's easy to say people need to just eat what they're given because we're in a pandemic, but for us we could see actually the impact of a pandemic on people's well-being was going to be hard enough as it was. You don't want people to be feeling uncomfortable because they're not eating the food that they're used to. It's just adding another layer of discomfort to an already difficult time. So we just wanted to try and make sure that people could access the things that they needed. During the pandemic, we actually went through Eid, and a lot of our service users, whatever you want to say, the recipients of food parcels were Muslim, so we wanted to make sure that they could do something special to mark that day so it didn't just get lost in all the days that were kind of merging during the pandemic. So our volunteers put together Eid packs or Eid parcels with homemade cookies and handmade cards and sent them out to the families that they knew were Muslim that were receiving food parcels, and that went down really well. People felt like it was nice to be remembered during such a difficult time, that the community was looking out for them. The group also developed a project called Find Me a Home, which called out to the community for items that people have lying around their homes. Like, I think somebody had an exercise bike that they were using as a clothes horse, so it was like, right, donate it to us and we'll get it to somebody's home that's actually going to use it. And we got TVs donated and computers and all sorts of things, and they really went to homes where they were going to be used. And I think that's really special, because what Jen is saying there, it's the first opportunity to volunteer, or the first thing she's really got involved in, and that she's had a really good experience from it, and it's helped to see things differently around how communities work. I think volunteering is an amazing thing, and if people have had a good experience of volunteering and learned more about the communities, that can only build for a better future for the neighbourhood. So I think that's really special.
And finally, Sue from the Chorlton Mutual Aid Group has a few words about the community response to COVID-19, which we'd like to share.
We were faced with this terrible tragedy that COVID has brought to everybody. We thought, how can we develop this more? And actually, the pandemic has brought it all out in people, and there's been some fantastic work going on everywhere. But in Chorlton, we've seen loads of examples of great community work, people pulling together, people meeting people they've not met before to work together, and we wanted to celebrate that.
So thank you, everybody. So now I'm going to go live from Wigan with a social media update. Please welcome Deputy Chief Exec of MAC, Mr. Martin Preston.
Thanks, Mike. Quick joke here. Wigan's not in Tier 3. It's in Tier 3.14159.265. If anybody gets that, then
yes,
you'll have a laugh.
Answers on Twitter.
There you go. Right. We've got a number of shout outs. So we've got Councillor Anna Abdul, who helped establish Ardwick and Longside Mutual Aid Group. Nick Dixon, who volunteered with Chorlton Mag and gave us some of his time at MAC to help with our work on connecting other mutual aid groups. Good Neighbours groups. Helen at Chorlton Good Neighbours. We've got Marie at Withenshaw Good Neighbours, Sam at Burnage Good Neighbours, and the community centres. Further ones, we've got Joe Kelly and Time Tells. At Time Tells, he's thanking the voluntary sector for everything they do. Wonderfully Made Woman, thanks to Edo Diaspora UK for providing food to over 1,000 people. Fantastic. Manchester Young Carers, thanks to all the partners who support their amazing carers. Lizzie Basford, thanks to all the churches and the volunteers delivering food parcels and supporting communities. Julie Hicklin, thanks to Manchester Parent Champions, making life better for disabled children, young people and their families. Cheetham Hill Advice Centre, thanks to the volunteers and trustees for all their efforts. Victim Support Volunteering Service, they're very proud of all of the GM volunteers. An Age Friendly Network, big love to fellow mutual aid groups from Ardwick and Longsight. And we've also had a couple of shout outs for Mike. We've had one that's Mike's a dish, and can I have his mobile number if he's single? And the other one is, could you have my children? That's a request as well for Mike. So I'm not sure that's in the spirit of Manchester, but there you go. Thank you.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone, believe me. Thank you, Martin. Okay. So we're going to crack on with our next category, which is Board of Trustees. As many of you will know, trustees ensure an organisation is run effectively, safely, and is always driven by its purpose. And during this time, the role of trustees has been particularly challenging, adapting to new circumstances, new ways of working, making really, really difficult decisions about balancing the need to respond while thinking about the long term in really uncertain circumstances. Whether your trustees have rolled up their sleeves and helped out on the day-to-day response, or focused on supporting staff and volunteers, or just making sure that the organisation is planning for the future, including, for many trustees I know, making difficult decisions about losing staff, furloughing staff who wanted to help out, but financial sustainability is important. So we ask people to let us know how trustees helped their organisation respond to the crisis. Here we go.
Better Things. Throughout the COVID-19 crisis and lockdown, Better Things has continued to operate, albeit remotely and in different ways. The Board of Trustees have supported staff and volunteers throughout and have got involved with online delivery and with how the charities work to support people with learning disabilities on a day-to-day and individual basis. They've taken a proactive approach to keeping people connected and supported while ensuring the sustainability of the organisation. They've supported staff with funding and grant applications and been involved with delivering some activities as lockdown restrictions started to reduce. As a small charity, our work's been impacted and our capacity to fundraise deeply affected. The Board of Trustees has been consistent that the aims and objectives of the organisation be maintained and met in the most imaginative ways while being mindful of the mental health of participants as well as staff and volunteers. They've ensured support is available to all. Venture Arts. Our Board of Trustees have worked tirelessly to support Amanda, our director, and the wider team during the pandemic. As soon as lockdown was announced, they adopted an all-hands-on-deck approach. Sally Hobbs, Pankhurst Trust Vice Chair of Trustees. Sally has been involved with Manchester Women's Aid and the Pankhurst Trust for decades. In fact, whisper has it that she was one of the squatters who saved the Pankhurst from the bulldozers. During the pandemic, Sally literally rolled up her sleeves and got stuck in. She took on the task of encouraging local authorities and housing providers outside of Manchester to resume lettings for families in Manchester refuges, something that just felt beyond our reach and capacity at the time. As part of Pankhurst Queen Bee Coaching, a volunteer-led service, Sally committed to support women leaders as they face the twin challenges of a global pandemic and recession by organising a series of inspirational online talks. The talks, Radical Thinking for Radical Times, included author Jenny Emery in conversation with Chi-Chi Ekweazor, founder and CEO of Ascenti. They were free, but attendees were asked to make a donation to the Pankhurst Trust to fund the PPE we needed to continue our work during the pandemic. The talks were a tonic for the mind and soul during the darkest moments of the COVID-19 outbreak, and a fabulous amount was raised. Shore FM Community Radio Board. The board continued to support the activities of the presenters' technical support and offered support for the workers. The board members, all volunteers, protected the integrity and legality of the organisation and acted as champions for the group. Yarram Northwest CIC. Our board of directors, or trustees, have ensured that our organisation is running effectively, safely and is always driven by its purpose. During this time, the role of trustees has been especially challenging, adapting to new circumstances and new ways of working, making difficult decisions, balancing the need to respond while thinking about the long term. Yarram has been providing bilingual mental health services 6 days a week, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m, to Middle Eastern residents across Greater Manchester. An important part of their role has been in translating information into a number of languages and being a trusted organisation reaching Middle Eastern communities. Our drop-ins, COVID-19 befriending and mentoring groups and one-to-one support are a lifeline for service users, and finding ways to retool existing services so that they can be delivered remotely has been our priority. During the lockdown, feelings of loneliness and isolation have been especially difficult for Middle Eastern communities in Greater Manchester, who've always lived in culturally dense communities. The only focus to date has been on what was possible to manage and to cope with uncertainties. There's no rule book for what's happening now in this pandemic, as most of us are going through this situation for the first time. Our staff and board have worked together to be creative and adapt our services to meet the needs of Middle Eastern communities in Greater Manchester.
There we go. Thank you to all the marvellous trustees. And if you've never been a trustee of a local charity, I would really, really urge you to think about it. It's a great way to help your community. It'll give you a unique insight into how organisations actually work. And you don't have to be an expert on everything. Trustees bring all different kinds of things. Charities too often focus on things like financial and legal knowledge, but it's really important to have a diverse board of trustees who know the local community, who understand the cause. So if you want to find out more about being a trustee, get in touch with us at MAC. And now I'm going to invite Helen back to give us an update on the social media. How are we doing, Helen?
Yes, and I've got my volume on, so we're cooking on gas tonight. And I can't obviously surpass your joke for matching humour and science. So I will get on with the messages. We've had loads in, so thank you so much to everybody. So thank you to the amazing team at Great Minds, amazing team of staff and volunteers who make such a difference to families every day. Thanks to Val and her team for supporting the work we do at Manchester People First. Your support really means a lot to us. A message from Age Friendly Network. Thank you to Eleanor from Wonderfully Made Woman for bringing her infectious positive energy to Ardwick and Longsight Mutual Aid Group, always keeping our spirits up. And that's from Yasmin. 1971 Lizzie, you'll know who you are. Thank you to Alexis Scott and all the amazing team at 42nd Street. Young Manchester want to say a huge thank you to the charities, community groups and volunteers, including young people themselves, supporting children and young people in Manchester, especially over the last few months. You are amazing and are helping to transform lives. Mike Taylor would like to thank Coffee for Craig, would like to thank Lucy from Emerge and her top driving team. Somebody would like to thank Mark Frith for the wonderful work he does with the guys at Buell Hill, and would also like to thank Forever Manchester for spreading the love across Greater Manchester. Lizzie would like to thank her local hero, Kerry, and at Belsize G for all the support you have shown your neighbours through the pandemic. Roger would like to thank Manchester Parent Carer Forum and Manchester Parent Champions, amazing people making life better for disabled children, young people and their families. And last one, big love to all the fellow mutual aid groups from Ardwick and Longsight Mutual Aid Group.
Thanks, Helen. Brilliant stuff as always. And we have some more thank you messages now. So here comes the magic ball again.
2020 has been a year of unprecedented challenge for Manchester and indeed for much of the world. But it's also been a year in which we've seen an unprecedented response, not least from the community, voluntary and faith sectors. Together we've fed the hungry, we've housed the homeless, and we've cared for those shielding. The shared humanity and shared values that have made Manchester a cutting-edge city for over 200 years have shone through everything we've done. So thank you. Thank you for your part in this magnificent effort. Thank you for all that you have done to date, but thank you also for all that you will still be doing in the months to come as we face a winter in which this crisis shows no sign of abating. May we continue to be that spirit of Manchester. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you to June Kelly and all at Abraham Moss Warriors. What a fantastic job they're doing up there for the community. Far more than just a football team, real community effort. Every time I speak to June, I'm really impressed by her passion and commitment for helping the people around Abraham Moss. So June, thanks a lot, you're doing a great job.
I would like to thank Levy Corona Helpers for their quick response to the COVID-19 crisis and helping out all of their neighbours. And also Levenshulme Inspire for launching the Meal Buddies on Wheels scheme, feeding the local community, the people who needed it, the most vulnerable. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for those messages. Thank you to Bishop David for getting that message over to us. I just want to do a reminder and a thank you to everybody who's been putting some money into the Spirit of Manchester Fund. We're already generating some funds which will go to local organisations. MAC will not take 1 penny of the money. It will help with the community response. As you can see below, you can donate by text or by online giving. Everything that you give is really, really appreciated and will make a difference. So our next category is inspiring leadership. We believe that anyone can be a leader and a leader can be anyone. It's not just about those who hold senior positions within organisations. A leader is somebody who can see how things can be improved, who rallies people to move toward that better vision. Leaders can work towards making their vision a reality while putting people first. Leaders need to be empathetic and connect with people to be successful. So this category celebrates individuals who've shown inspiring leadership during this pandemic. And here we go.
I would really like to thank one of our fantastic students, Saif Khan. In the middle of the pandemic, right near the start, Saif realised that there was a real need to provide support to those members of staff who actually worked in the National Health. Saif is a medical student, but he felt there was a real need to help those NHS workers so they could get on with the day job. So providing help for them to get their groceries, to babysit their children, to walk their dogs, that sort of thing. So Saif, who is a 4th year student, popped something on Facebook suggesting this idea to friends, and in a matter of days, literally 450 students came forward, and Saif then had the job to organise them to get this support to our NHS staff. But those things that are really vital and have to happen being done by somebody else meant that those staff could focus on their jobs in hospital, in GP surgeries, and providing that essential COVID support.
The nomination was for Wendy Smith, who set up the Smithies Bereavement Group. Over the past few months, she organised various different people to go to the people's homes to either deliver medication, some food items, selecting things, from the supermarket. Also, she organised birthdays. Those birthdays on that day, a few of us would gather outside that person's house. We'd sing happy birthday to the person on the doorstep and light a little cupcake. That was their little birthday cake, and also the presents would be given. And usually those people would be shielding because they were vulnerable people. Because the group normally used to see each other every fortnight, that link was gone. What she did was made sure that we had the WhatsApp group was on, and also the Facebook account was on for us, so we could communicate with each other. A lot of us were socially isolated and we're missing family, and so we just need a contact, human contact really. But she's constantly thinking of others. She's very warm-hearted. She just wants everyone to feel that they're not on their own.
My name's Eula Miller. My name's Davine Ford. My name's Gail Miller. And we're COVID survivors. We'd like to thank Val Bayliss-Bridow from Manchester CCG for initiating and setting up the COVID support group.
And can you tell us a bit more about what Val did?
Well, I wasn't there at the beginning of the group, but for the past few weeks she's been holding weekly group meetings with lots of COVID survivors from all over the city and even out of the city, and she provides support and encouragement and things we can do to help improve our health and get us back on the road to recovery. And she does this week in, week out without any complaints, and with a pleasant smile and a good spirit.
And what difference has this made to you all?
Well, for lots of people, she's validated how they're feeling. For lots of the participants, they weren't believed by their doctors, they weren't believed by the family, and for lots of them, they just needed the validation that what they'd gone through was actually real. And she's very good at providing educational tips for our recovery routes, and so we're really grateful to her for all the time she spent putting those tips together, encouraging us to talk about our experience and actually making the COVID recovery road a little bit happier. We all just want to say thank you, Val, for putting in your own time. Even when you're on holiday, you've kept the group going, and for just bringing us all together. Keep on being the sunshine you are.
Belay is already semi-famous among the Manchester charity sector because he's been doing this job so well for such a long time. He has worked so hard and dedicated himself to expanding the service that we can offer Manchester's refugee and asylum seeker population. He has opened and got funding for so many new projects that have helped so many different groups of people during coronavirus, including he's expanded the destitution project, he started the elderly refugees project, he started the check and chat scheme. He's just too many to mention in just 1 minute. I remember going into lockdown, MRSN had 7 staff members, and now 6 months later we have 13. It's an astonishing amount of work, an astonishing improvement. He's improved the charity and therefore massively improved the help given out to Manchester's refugee and asylum seeker population.
So, some really, really inspirational stories there, and it's a privilege to know some of those individuals, I have to say. So, we're going over to Martin now for an update from the social media.
Okay, apologies everyone if I miss anyone. I do apologise. We've got lots to get through. I'm going to talk as fast as possible. No, I'm not. Anyway, Ellie Trimble, massive shout out to Greater Together Manchester and especially the volunteers. Nikki, shout out to the amazing Manchester Poverty Truth Commission. Manchester People First. Shout out to all the trustees and people involved in the organisation. A fantastic group of people. Big Change Manchester. Thanks to their partners working together to support people experiencing homelessness. Simone Spray, thanks to Alexis and Scott at 42nd Street. Nadine Travers, thanks to Simone, Lizzie, Nikki at the Manchester Poverty Truth Facilitators. And we've also got shout outs for Joe Welby at Mustard Tree, Thurgle at Men's Room, Gail Heath at Manchester Women's Aid, Duncan Craig at Survivors UK, Maxsood at the British Muslim Heritage Centre, Charles at CAHNGM, there's a mouthful, Charlie Norman at Moscow St Vincent Housing, and the fabulous team at Reclaim who are fighting not to have their name hijacked. Go on, Reclaim. Cheers, back to you, Mike, from the independent and fantastic Wigan.
Thank you from the Wigan judges. Yeah, really want to back up that message. Let's stand up for Reclaim. They're a brilliant local organisation. We mustn't let their name be hijacked by idiots, is the tactful word I will use. So we now have another thank you message, and particularly appropriate this time that we have a disco ball to introduce it.
I sit in lots of meetings where I am privileged to work with and hear from colleagues across the VCSE in Manchester and Greater Manchester, and I understand that this is a time where people have had to completely rethink the way that they provide their services, sometimes not sure of where funding will come from, but knowing that they want to continue to absolutely do the best that they possibly can for the communities that they're passionate about working alongside and supporting. Whilst my head was in the NHS and helping to set up the Nightingale Hospital, I wasn't perhaps as close to some of the work that was going on, but it's been amazing to read the No Going Back report that's been prepared by MAC and to learn just how hard so many of our colleagues have been working across the city and throughout the COVID pandemic and providing amazing support to people who I'm sure are very grateful. I'd just like to say a huge thank you, both, for the work that is ongoing, but also for being that kind of broader thinking within our system at the moment. It's easy to lose sight of your peripheries in a crisis, and I've been really grateful for the divergent thinking of my voluntary sector colleagues in some of the strategic meetings that I sit in. It's really helpful to have that sort of first-hand experience and narrative of the communities that we serve, and it's invaluable to our city.
I'd like to thank 4CT for their help and support in running the Planning to Reopen webinars and for supporting the community in East Manchester.
Hi, my name is Nigel Rose. I'm part of the Policy and Influence team here in MAC. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to every single one of you that participated in one of our webinars, our assemblies, or filled in a survey. Because without that information and your views, we just can't do our job. It guided everything that MAC did during the crisis. And secondly, I want to give a big thank you to the 22 voluntary and community social enterprise sector leaders who contributed an article to No Going Back, MAC's latest publication. We literally could not have done it without you, and we were bowled over by your generosity in writing articles and the way that you worked with us. So if you haven't read it already, please make sure you read No Going Back.
Really want to back up what Nigel's just said there. I would absolutely encourage you to read our No Going Back report. It is a brilliant insight into what some local organisations have seen, but also importantly, what they have learned during this crisis and their ideas for the future. It's not just building back better. We have to change. We have to recognise that there are some things that simply are not good enough as they currently are. There are some short videos on our YouTube channel from the contributors as well, so you can watch that after you've finished watching tonight's show. So our next category is creative community spirit. So this is about celebrating the fact that we'd seen lots and lots of people using art and creativity to support others and the community around them. Another issue the government has badly misjudged is the importance of culture in communities. Imagine trying to get through lockdown without music, artists, comedians, actors, and all the staff and the industries behind those. We asked people to tell us about local individuals and groups who've developed a creative outlet for or a creative project to inspire hope and unity during COVID-19. Here we go.
Has helped me to stay in touch with my friends and like a family. I have enjoyed learning new ideas and making music. The house parties, we're having loads of fun. I want to say thank you to Home and Fibs and Venture Arts too for all their success. Thank you. Peace.
They're a fantastic organisation. They work with artists with learning difficulties and additional needs. Normally the artists come into their centre, but they've adapted and are reaching out to artists in their own homes, all sorts of really creative projects, and it's been a real lifeline for a lot of those people who, a lot of them would be people they're having to shield, and I know a lot about them through my nephew. He has Down syndrome and he's been going to Venture Arts for a long time. He's very interested in the wind in the willows, and in particular the weasels, who are the baddies in Wind in the Willows. And he started off making weasels out of clay. Now he's got plans for this for an army of clay weasels to get world domination and overcome Trump and so on. He's done a couple of videos telling people how to make a clay weasel, and Venture Arts have put together packs of the stuff that you need and sent them out to families. The idea being that at least one of the weasels comes back to Venture Arts, so it builds up this army. They just seem to tap into the things that people want to do and really sort of run with. It's that creative thinking, I think, rather, ways of working differently in different, these awful circumstances. So I think that's why I'm really impressed with them.
You have the old people that's in the flats and stuff. We took them out into the garden and do a bit of bingo, and we have like a cup of tea or coffee, just like a social thing. Yeah, we try to do it every week. It's a lot of difference because even with the lockdown and stuff, you could go outside, and you could just have a talk for a couple of hours and then you go back home, which it's helped quite a lot really, because I'm caring for somebody that, is very, it's very depressing, call it that way. And to get me out is very good. It's nice to, in company with people who do care. At least you could see somebody to talk to. Maybe you're only here for 10 or 5 minutes, but at least there's somebody you'll see for the day. You go home and then you're locked up for the rest of the day, don't you? And that, to me, TV and radio, it's not the same. It's doing me the world of good anyway, put it that way.
So I would like to thank Magda Key, Ivona Torovin-Borovic and Anya Mikołajczyk, who are members of the European Art Collective, for carrying out several creative projects during the COVID-19 pandemic, which were innovative and fresh and were really good at engaging with local community groups. The participants gave really positive feedback and went away having created their own pieces of art, and went away sort of with a new understanding of how you don't have to be a professional to paint or to make a collage, and that it can just be something personal that you do in your spare time at home to help you relax and help you connect with your family or whoever you're living with.
Thank you, everybody. So, back over to Helen now for an update. What have we got, Helen?
We have got lots, actually. I'll try and get through as many as I can again. Budget, huge thanks to all our VCSE colleagues from GMMH. We couldn't do it without them. What a fabulously inspiring event, so thank you. Thank you to all at Yarra Northwest, in the team and volunteers for their hard work, and particularly to their media officer for her endless efforts on sharing resources. And as a comms person, yes, a shout out for comms people. Coffee for Craig, Mustard Tree and the Booth Centre have stayed open the whole time and went above and beyond. Feed My City Manchester, together with Barnabas, providing food for people over the last few months. A shout out to Hickories in Poynton for prepping and cooking £10,500 worth of hot meal parcels for 840 children across Greater Manchester this year. A shout out to Buzz and to Yasmin from GMMH. The whole team at Manchester have been phenomenal. They lost their chair, their beloved chair, Sue Murphy, in the midst of this pandemic. But everybody at MASH banded together, pulled up their sleeves and continued to support so many women when they've needed it most. A thank you from Reach Out to the community to Alison Hepworth, who worked above and beyond to pull together the food response. They were involved with catering for rough sleepers accommodated in hotels. A shout out from Hannah to Tahir Abbasi, who's a manager of the Pakistani Resource Centre, for keeping the service open throughout the lockdown, supporting people with welfare advice and support. And last but not least, a shout out from Simone to Rod and the team at Horsefall. Thank you for being so generous with your time, kindness and creativity. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Helen. Fantastic stuff. And I just want to give a few shout outs as well. I want to say hello to Manchester People First, who've been doing some fantastic work with arts and crafts sessions and quizzes and even gardening tips online. I'd say hello to Justin and Imogen and everybody at Young Manchester. They did a lot of work early days with Greater Manchester Combined Authority and many others around a cultural toolkit for young people. And let us also not forget to shout out to the Frog and Bucket, because they've been very loyal to the charity sector over many years. Frog and Bucket, famous comedy venue just over the road from the MAC office, and told they were not culturally significant in the funding that was just given out to the culture sector, which I think is a real crime, frankly. They have launched the careers of some household names, and we should really try and support them. So we now have a few more thank you messages. Here we go again.
Thank you so much to everybody in the VCSE sector for everything you've done over the past 6 months, 12 months, 12 years. Thank you. When we all went out on our doorsteps and clapped for carers, from my point of view, and I know from so many people's point of view, that wasn't just for the NHS, it wasn't just for social care, it was also for people like you, people who invest time and energy in looking after and supporting our communities in Manchester. You are heroes, you are unheralded, you are loved and cherished people and organisations. I cannot speak highly enough about you. I know it's an uncertain time. I know that funding and other measures just mean that it's difficult now to be certain about what the future brings. But please be assured that I and my organisation do value you, and we do want to work with you now and going forward. Thank you again.
Hello everybody, it's Danielle here from MAC. I'm here today to say a big, massive thank you to everybody who has attended North, Central and South Manchester Community Explorers meetings throughout the lockdown and beyond. You've come together to stay informed and you've come together to inform and develop our webinar programme. You've really helped us with that, being our eyes and ears out there about what was needed for your groups and for your beneficiaries. But most importantly, you've come together to provide that much needed love and peer support to one another and to me and for that I am eternally grateful. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.
I would like to say a massive thank you to the Greater Manchester Older People's Network Steering Group for the way they responded to the coronavirus pandemic in helping to look out for each other, in sharing vital information with other older people, and just for generally being fantastic, passionate individuals.
So our next category is equalities. This is one of the categories that we have every year, and it's never been more important to highlight and address issues of equalities and challenge discrimination. The Black Lives Matter movement is finally getting issues of racism and inbuilt structural discrimination back on the agenda. It's very noticeable that from the start of the public health campaign around COVID, the government failed to put information out in languages other than English. I think that was a dereliction of duty on their part, a failure to engage and inform everybody in the diverse communities across the country. I'm happy to say that in Manchester, we got onto that very, very quickly and started getting information into multiple languages on the advice and support of many of our local voluntary organisations. Work on highlighting the impact on Black and Asian and ethnic minority groups was led by charities. Likewise, the work to identify the barriers to support for people with disabilities, led by charities. Issues faced by women and unpaid carers during the pandemic, by those already trapped in poverty. I said earlier, inequalities are more visible than ever before. Here are some examples of people who've been helping to make sure that's the case. Here we go.
I'm from the University of Manchester's Disabled Staff Network, and we work together with Manchester Histories and other organisations including MMU and the Greater Manchester Coalition of Disabled People to host and organise Manchester Histories DigiFest, celebrating ALSAC 50 years of disabled people's rights. We did this in partnership with the family of the late Lord Alf Morris of Manchester. We wanted to host this event to celebrate the passing of the Chronically Sick and Disabled Persons Act, which passed in 1970. We wanted to mark and celebrate this act, but also we wanted to challenge where disability rights is today, especially in light of COVID. We were supposed to do a face-to-face festival, but because of COVID we had to make it digital, and we made it a great success, having over 3,000 participants at the whole festival.
Thank you, everybody. And now we're going back over to Wigan for a social update from Mr. Preston.
We're off again. Are you ready? So we've got Samina Arfan. She said it's great to be a trustee at MAC. Well, she would. We've got Sophie King. Thanks for the work undertaken by Sharon, Chan and Greg to ensure vulnerable older people who were looked after in Wythenshawe through the pandemic. We've got Age Friendly Network. Thanks to Matt and Sinead who volunteered at Olmag during the pandemic, and they got married as lockdown lifted. Timed it well as it's gone back into it, but congratulations to the couple. We've got Kelly Hockaday. Thanks to the Proud Trust, City in the Community, Gadam, Manchester Carers and the team at Horsefall. And shout outs to Kush at Europia, Mel at Yarran, Yvonne at Barnabas, the Caribbean African Health Network GM, Priscilla at BHA for Equality, Michelle Scattergood at Breakthrough UK, everyone at Greater Manchester Coalition of Disabled People, the Greater Manchester Migrant Destitution Fund Team, Manchester BME Network, and remember that it's Black History Month and there's an online event tomorrow, which is Friday, 23rd of October, 4 till 6. Nice plug there. And also a big shout out to school meals, and in particular free school meals. And I'm not a Manchester United fan, but well done to Marcus Rashford for putting it on the agenda and continuing to fight something that we need to fight for. Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely right. Thanks, Martin. I just want to do a quick shout out, as they were mentioned there, to my fellow members of Manchester Poverty Truth Commission, who are doing a watch along together tonight, I believe. One day we'll do this properly. We'll all get together again, but that's an amazing bunch of people who've come together to really think through and work on some key issues that affect lives in our city. So, hi guys, hope you're enjoying the evening. So, we have another short thank you video to share. So here we go again.
I'd like to thank Safety for Sisters, who this year managed to open a vital, brand new refuge for migrant women survivors of domestic abuse who are shockingly often refused access to refuge accommodation otherwise.
Hi everyone, it's Leslie from MAC here. Today I'd like to thank the Caribbean and African Health Network. COVID, as we all know, has disproportionately impacted Black communities and really exposed the health inequalities that result from structural racism. The need for Black-led VCSE organisations like CALM providing culturally appropriate and accessible services is really clear. During the COVID crisis, CALM have taken all of their services online and they're doing loads of stuff. The services range from social and peer support to influencing key decision-making, research and reports. So there's exercise classes for lockdown, peer support group for single mums, Friday night Afrobeats and reggae bash, video conferences with Black professionals on the front line, and community response meetings with key decision makers. A COVID-19 impact research report is also on their website. It's a huge amount of work. Thank you, Carl.
So now we want to say thank you to all the local businesses for their support during COVID-19, whether that's through things that they've done or partnerships with local charities. We ask people to tell us about the business offers to help the local community, what impact it had, and how their support showed community spirit. Before we do this, I just want to say it's also another of those examples where we want to say thank you to businesses. Even if their offer wasn't taken up, it is still much appreciated. Here's some great examples.
Around the Box. This company launched during COVID-19. You can purchase a box to donate to a hospital of your choice and bring families that are going through so much some joy and quality time. A creative and truly inspiring approach. Arval UK. They offered the loan of a car or small van free of charge to charities who needed it to deliver services to the Greater Manchester community during these difficult times. Be Military Fitness. Manchester's military veteran instructors have been running daily training programmes since lockdown for over 200 participants in Manchester, and they've offered free sessions to veterans and all workers within the NHS. They've been delivering a free weekly online chat for more vulnerable and isolated individuals, which has proved invaluable to many veterans and NHS staff, in particular veterans who are suffering with mental health issues and isolation and loneliness during lockdown. As well as running these sessions, they produced 28,000 visors made by a team of 65 volunteers led by firefighter Dave Craig and supported by Tony Prescott from the Hamilton Davis Trust. These are being distributed to staff across the Northern Care Alliance NHS group for frontline NHS staff. They've also offered the use of vans to deliver the equipment to hospitals within Greater Manchester. BCEGI. This is the international arm of the Beijing Construction Engineering Group. They've been working with BW3, which is a business network which supports the economic and social well-being of Wythenshawe. And they told us, we discovered this opportunity through BW3 of the NHS Start Well, Develop Well scheme, designed to help vulnerable children and young people who are stuck at home or in a care setting. We believe this is a great way to support and give back to the local community, so we donated arts and crafts materials for children's activity packs, which will be distributed to vulnerable families across Manchester. We're also in contact with Manchester City Council's South Neighbourhood team, donating more wellbeing packs for isolated adults, particularly people who live by themselves and may not have access to online activities. Dark Star Services offered free professional support to the voluntary sector around how to go digital and how to access free, useful resources that they may not have been aware of to support this. This is a massively useful support to all those community organisations who've had to learn new ways of working very fast. Manchester United and Manchester City, rival football clubs, United and City, came together to donate £100,000 to the Trussell Trust. So the charity is going to use £50,000 each from each club to boost its 19 food banks in Greater Manchester. The Old Abbey Tap House is an independent pub in Hume and a social enterprise. They're running a pay-as-you-feel meal scheme with Acorn Manchester during these difficult times. Acorn Manchester is the union for the community. Together, they're delivering meals to those who are especially vulnerable during the pandemic, and they urge people, support your independence, support your community, be kind and stay safe. Tesco, Asda, Marks and Spencer's and Costo via Dr. Hyder. We heard a story from the University of Manchester of one of their part-time tutors, Dr. Ali Hyder, who's a GP in Longsight. Dr. Hyder has delivered over 450 care packages to staff working in the public services who've been living in hotels during the lockdown. He visited police officers, firefighters, nursing homes, pharmacies and NHS staff to deliver food, toiletries and treats. Dr. Hyder started using his own money, but as demand grew, Tesco, Asda, Marks and Spencer and Costco all participated, donating toiletries, food and clothing. In each package, he attached a note saying thank you and giving his phone number so that the staff can text or call if they want someone to chat to. He told us, it's all about sending some love to people who are working against the odds. It's been hard work, but there are people who are working a lot harder than me. At least I can go home to my family each night. Tibetan Kitchen. Chorlton Bike Deliveries offers free car deliveries for local residents, independent traders and charities. This is something they do while delivering food for Tibetan Kitchen, which also provides free cooked meals for vulnerable people in Whalley Range and Moss Side on Thursday. Zappify. Keith Robinson and Paul Smith of Zappify have given their time to help local independent salons and hospitality businesses in the reopening period since the 4th of July. They very swiftly developed a free track and trace system called COVID, to comply with suggested government regulations using their Zappify contactless mobile phone tech. A number of key businesses, Thompson Arms, New Union, Bloom, in the city centre have been using the system since reopening, and this has now expanded into a much wider range, including offices, primary school and sporting clubs. There are over 150 businesses using the free system and 25,000 registered consumers. Their Cove ID system is still growing organically through word of mouth. Keith and Paul have invested their time and resources to create this system without any financial gain. They're just proud to have done something to help smaller businesses that have been hit hard by the shutdown.
I'd like to say thank you to businesses for all the support that you've offered over the past few months.
I would like to say thank you to everybody who helped with the delivery of the webinar series, whether that was the guest speakers, my colleagues, or the participants. By working together, we helped keep the sector informed and well connected. Thank you.
Thank you to Manchester Mind for their lovely lunchtime meditation sessions. It really helped me and lots of others to take some time out from our day, to breathe properly, to calm, to spend some lovely time with others. So thank you, Manchester Mind.
Thanks everybody who sent in a nomination for the business category. So many good examples, and I'm sure there's more and more around. What I would say is, if you're interested in talking to us about, as a business, about how we can work together, please contact us. We're now going to go over to Helen for an update on the social media feedback.
Hi, it's me again. That was just me, and now this is me. So this is all about me in the last 10 seconds. But the Manchester Mind meditation sessions were brilliant. So in terms of the messages that we've got, so a message from Joe at Mustard Tree. Well done to all the charities, community groups, self-help groups, volunteers and everybody across the VCSE sector in Manchester. So delighted to be a small part of such an awesome movement. And well done to Matt for taking the time and effort to celebrate. So that's great. I've got a message from Kath. Baraka Food Aid, who supplied 40 halal and vegan meals daily, to a hotel all throughout lockdown, which meant that all of the homeless residents were catered for. So thank you. Rebecca, thank you to all of the massively talented people who volunteer to keep Tech for Good live going every day, and to the wider Helper Charity volunteers who offered their time to get community organisations online during COVID-19. A message from Hannah, a big shout out to Atia Chowdhury from Manchester BME Network for organising emergency wellbeing support for BAME communities. A message from Sinead, a huge thank you to Hiba Ahmed for arranging Manchester's Black Lives Matter protest in the summer, essential grassroots organising at a critical time. A message to thank Kush and everybody at Europea for all that they do. And another message from Kath to Barnabas Manchester for just about everything that you do for our homeless residents, from food, clothing, art packs, weekly hymns, prayer and spiritual guidance. You are also very special. And another thank you from us to Tech for Good Live, especially to Bex and Harriet for their Helper Charity scheme. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Helen. Yeah, I've been working with Bex and Harriet on that Tech for Good scheme, and it's been a joy to work with them on it. And I know we've got a meeting coming up soon. I promise I'll get back to you about that, guys. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for rattling through those again. That's actually your last social media update for the evening. So the next one, when we go back to Martin, is our last look at the social media for the evening. So if you've not had a chance to say thank you to somebody you want to say thank you to, if there's anybody you still want to credit or just celebrate, now's your chance to do it. So, let's make sure we capture all those. No pressure, Martin. So our next category is another big one, food and supplies. Obviously, a huge area of work was getting food and supplies out to people who were locked down at home or struggling financially. And this is one of those areas where, as far as I'm concerned, the local community response has been so much more creative and effective than the government programme, quite frankly. In one of the wealthiest countries in the world, it should not be necessary that local voluntary organisations have to run food provision. But they are there and they have done a fantastic job stepping up all that effort to help people access food. Food banks, food clubs, mutual aids, it's been amazing. There is a lot to learn. And here, courtesy of the Magic Disco Ball, are some brilliant stories.
I'd like to thank Alison as a community volunteer. She's worked tirelessly to try and address the issues on the estate of poverty, especially through the lockdown period where she understands that people are facing financial crisis. So she's asked for donations to help the families. She's worked with external partners and she's worked tirelessly to collect donations to support the local families of school uniform and supplies. She's helped dress children with over 150 families, so she's addressed the needs and made the impact on financial issues less worrisome. She's gone above and beyond to say, look, help is here, do come along, and she's hosted 3 donation days for the school uniform, and also she'll be doing that again later down the line, because she understands what it's like to struggle. I think one of the reasons why she done it as well was to bring communities together, and in situations like this it's all about coming together and sharing what you can.
I would like to thank the group called Feed My City. In terms of obviously at lockdown, we had massive concerns when it first came into effect, where we were worried about there were food shortages, self-isolation, concerns that residents didn't have any friends or support, and we contacted Feed My City. In terms of Sukhbir Singh, who was the contact at Feed My City, I just got on the phone. I literally was 30 seconds into the call, and he pretty much said, "Right, what do you want, and where do you need it?" and he pretty much was so direct with me, but in such a positive way in terms of how this was going to work. It was just brilliant, and it was just a case of, right, what do you need, where do you need it, and when do you want it, and it was just fantastic. We have around 600 tenancies in retirement, and we were delivering at one stage up to 200 meals per day. We felt rest assured that people were getting a meal, because we had concerns that people weren't being fed. It was that dramatic at the beginning of lockdown, and with the support from Feed My City, it helped us to reach out, and with contact with the retirement scheme managers, we made sure that everybody who needed a meal had a meal.
During lockdown, the Destitution Project has expanded into an essential service where we now provide food, essential items, clothing, anything that refugees and asylum seekers might need. The person I would like to nominate is Jennifer Anderson, who is the head of the project and works so hard and dedicates so much of her life trying to find so many sources of food and essential items. The project delivers to people's homes now. We've got I think more than 50 people who are now guaranteed a weekly delivery of food and essential items, and on Friday she managed to turn the whole office now, because we don't use this office at the moment, into a walk-in food bank. So many refugee asylum seekers and their families, including young children, owe their lives and health to Jennifer Anderson.
Isn't that an amazing amount of effort? And that, as with all of these, those are just a sample of the things that have been going on. So we're now going to go over to Wigan for a final media update from Martin, if that's still him.
Hi everyone, in honour of Mike, what a great job he's done, by the way. We've got Carlos, a shout out to Atias Chowdhury from Manchester BME Network for helping to develop a new COVID project. Val, shout out to Mustard Tree staff and volunteers, and also to Clayton Hall Living Museum staff, trustees and volunteers. Sinead, to Heba Ahmed, organiser of Manchester Black Lives Matters protest. We've got Nuala, shout out to Jane and Sonam at the Tibetan Kitchen. Sally, shout out to Salma from Macmillan. You are great and a pleasure to work with. Age Friendly Network, thanks to Ralph at ARMR Store and Cafe, because he gave a room for a store to provide a store for a local mutual aid group. We have also got a few more shout outs. We've got Lucy Danger and Miranda at Emerge. We've got Rainbow Surprise, Johnny Weinberg, Corinne Bell at Open Kitchen Manchester, and we've got Reverend Ellie Trimble in Miles Platting. And apparently it is it's the Reverend's birthday, so from all of us, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ellie.
And that concludes the Manchester, the update on whatever. Spirit, whatever.
Wigan Jury.
It was brilliant from Wigan.
Thank you, Martin. Those of you who've been to the awards in previous years will know that a highlight of the evening is when I stop talking and Martin takes over and compares the raffle, and we've really missed that this year. So thank you for updating us on the social media, Martin. And we now have a final thank you message. I can't get over that feeling, mind you. A final thank you message from some very good friends at Manchester City Council.
I'm here just to say a massive, huge, ginormous thank you to everyone out there in the voluntary community sector. The way that you guys have been responding, adapting, and just caring during this pandemic has been unbelievable. It comes as no surprise to me on a personal level, because I know that the voluntary sector is out there and cares and wants to be there and support our residents in this city. Not only that, supporting each other, supporting staff, supporting volunteers. So on behalf of myself, all of our team and everyone over at the council, I just want to say a huge, massive thank you. It is hugely appreciated. It doesn't go unnoticed, and we really, really value all your support. Take the time to look after yourself. Take the time to remember that you're not in this alone. And remember, strength in numbers. Let's work together. Let's keep doing this. Thank you. We really do appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. And for every single person who sometimes is having those days that sometimes feel really frustrating and not knowing what to do or getting tired of Zoom meetings, don't worry, you're doing a great job. Keep going. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it.
Hello, I'm Councillor Angeliki Stoya, Executive Member for the Voluntary and Community Sector. This is a challenging time for organisations across Manchester, including organisations in the voluntary, community and social enterprise sector. Many VCSE organisations have been absolutely integral to Manchester's response to the pandemic. The work that you are doing is astonishing, and I'd like to thank every single one of you, everyone involved, for doing such an astounding job to protect and support our most vulnerable residents at such incredibly difficult times. It's important that you know that we value the work that you are doing. We want you to know that we're with you and that we will do our utmost to support you. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Thanks to Michael, and thanks to Councillor Stoya for those videos. It really means a lot to us. Angeliki Stoya, Councillor Angeliki Stoya, as many of you will know, took over the role of Exec Lead from Councillor Sue Murphy, who was mentioned earlier. Sue was Deputy Leader of Manchester City Council for many years. Was a great friend of the voluntary sector, and her sudden death earlier this year was a great shock and a great loss for this city. I know, as was mentioned earlier, for many colleagues, particularly our friends at MASH, Annie and the team there lost their chair, who'd been with them for many years. And it's a huge loss to the whole city. So we just wanted to take this moment to remember Sue. So that's basically it for the evening. A brilliant, inspiring evening. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I know we've overrun a bit because we've never done it this way before, but timing's not been too bad. On behalf of all the staff and trustees at MAC, we want to say a huge thank you to all of you for your support. I know I haven't seen the total yet, but I know some money's been coming in. That is so brilliant. We really, really want to encourage you to do that. Tell your friends, tell everybody you know. If you can contribute, great. If you can't, you're contributing in other ways. Everybody is doing something useful. Firstly, can I ask you to join me in thanking the team at MAC for all their hard work behind this wonderful event. You can imagine there's an awful lot to make this stuff happen. I particularly want to say thank you this evening to Helen. Can we bring up Helen again? Thank you, Helen. It's been a lot of work, and there's a whole team on a WhatsApp group behind Helen and Martin sort of gathering all this stuff together and making it work. So thank you for stepping in, Helen. I'll see you soon. And thank you to Martin, who's had a shave since we last saw him. Oh, he's brought his special friend. Yeah. Yeah, that's his cardboard. That's cardboard cutout, Martin. You can make your own jokes. So, yeah, thank you, Martin and Helen. I also want to thank our special guests, the Lord Mayor of Manchester, the High Sheriff, all the people who've contributed thank you videos. I want to say a huge shout out to our media partners for the evening, Viz Air. We've been on a Zoom call doing this with Sarah and the team there. They have been so good at getting us through the evening. So it's hugely, hugely appreciated. Thank you so much. Shout out to Lynn Kendall of Decaf No Milk, who did the graphic design work for us with all those slides that you saw. Our Spirit of Manchester intern for this year, Ella Marsden, who was with us over the summer. A lot of the stuff that's happening tonight is because of her work, funded through the University of Manchester internship programme. I particularly want to thank some of the team at MAC who've really put a lot of time into this. So Cheryl, who always coordinates and cajoles us into getting Spirit of Manchester sorted. Jack, Hannah, Helena Martin, Alina, Michelle, Tom, Danielle and Victoria, all my fabulous colleagues at MAC for so much work in making this happen. And of course, to all of you for the support you've shown this evening by watching, by sharing, by joining in. Not the usual way we would do this, but I can see from the response, I think I heard something like we had about 500 people watching. That's more than we've had at the awards before. So there's clearly something good about this, doing it online. Above all, though, we want to thank every single one of the staff and volunteers and trustees in the amazing voluntary community and social enterprise sector across Manchester for all their work. You've seen we've barely scratched the surface of the amazing things that happen. Here tonight, we've covered a lot of stuff. There is so much more out there, and we will continue to gather those stories and share it. You may have seen our Manchester Kind campaign, where we've been sharing this stuff during lockdown. MAC is still here to support all those organisations and to support people. We're looking at what Tier 3 means for us right now, and how we're going to get through the winter together. We're still here. You know where to find us. Contact us if we can help. We will get through this by working together, and as I always say, by being defiantly kind. So I'm going to leave you with a final message about the Spirit of Manchester Fund, and I just want to say thank you from all of us at MAC, and good night.
Manchester's charities, voluntary organisations, community groups and social enterprises have played an amazing part in the response to COVID-19. They've supported people staying well, staying connected, getting food, feeling safe and finding help. A lot of this has been possible because of the huge number of emergency funds which sprang up in the UK in the early days of the crisis. Locally, there was a lot of support available, lots of offers of help and assistance. Those have been fantastic. We know from speaking to lots of our organisations what a difference that made. Many of the stories we've heard for our Spirit of Manchester celebration have been made possible because of this. But winter 2020 is going to be harder than ever. Those emergency funds have mostly gone, and we don't know what's happening next. While many local charities have worked hard over the years to find creative ways to build a sustainable income, much of that activity has had to stop, as well as much of the traditional fundraising activities which so many organisations rely on. The impact on these important community organisations has been huge this year, and it's not going to get any easier for the foreseeable future. Major funders are still looking at their future plans, but we can't wait. Until now, MAC has not launched an appeal for the charities, community groups and voluntary organisations in Manchester. We focused on helping those organisations access the funds which were available. But now we need your help. Manchester's charities want to be able to provide support over this difficult winter, and to do that, they need money. New costs such as PPE, adaptations to workplaces, transport, supplies, technology, all of these are pressures on the hundreds of local organisations which make such an impact in our neighbourhoods. So we want to ask for your help. We know that right now not everyone can, but whatever you can do, whatever you can give, will make a difference because it all adds up. That's something you'll see in all our work, in all the stories that we share, the impact we all create when we add all of that effort together. All of the money we raise will go into MAC's Spirit of Manchester Fund, for local groups and charities to continue to provide vital support as part of the COVID-19 response. If you want to show your gratitude to local groups, giving to the grants programme is a great way to put something back into our communities. If you simply want to be part of the effort to make sure all our communities get through this crisis with nobody left behind, by donating, you're helping a community group support local people. That could be to provide companionship for an older person to prevent them from feeling isolated, to help deliver food parcels to even more families through local food banks, to run an online support group for young people who've experienced bereavement, to provide counselling for women who've survived domestic abuse during lockdown, to cover volunteer expenses for community projects, to provide employment support for local people with long-term health conditions who've lost their job, to provide advice and wellbeing workshops for new carers. Here's how you can help. To donate by text Spirit of MCR, all one word, to 70450 to give £5. You can top that up by giving us your details to allow us to claim gift aid from the Treasury. That adds an extra 25% at no cost to you. Alternatively, you can text any whole pound amount between £1 and £20 by texting Spirit of MCR 20, for example, to donate £20. Text costs the value of the donation plus one standard rate message. To donate online, please go to our fundraising page on local giving. There's a link below. MAC will not take 1 penny of the money you donate. It will all go into our Spirit of Manchester Fund to be given as grants to local charities and community organisations. The ones in our neighbourhoods, our communities, the ones which make a difference to the lives of the people in this city. Whatever you can give, it all adds up. Whatever you can give will be part of the biggest act of organised kindness in the history of Manchester. Thank you.